Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel for another review. Being Tom Hardy's first film since Venom and his first crime film since his amazing performance in Legend, this film covers the final degrading year of gangster Al Capone's mental health. So this is Kia's Reviews and this is my review of Capone.
We've got 100 guys here at the house. How could somebody not know where the hell he is? I don't know how anybody
Capone. Okay, I'm going to sum this up in one sentence. Probably the worst crime film since Gotti, backed by a terrible performance from Tom Hardy that is laughable yet annoying the entire time. This film gets lost in itself. By blurring the line between reality and visions, Capone is one of the messiest movies I've ever seen. Because this film doesn't set up any of its characters or any context, it literally only says he suffered from neurosyphilis and that this is set during the last year of his life. This film makes no sense unless you're familiar with Al Capone's story. Without any context at all, this movie contains flashbacks, visions of Capone's violent past that have no emotional stakes to it due to the lack of explanation on why he was recalling these specific events, who's involved, or why anything is actually happening. This ends up proving to be my least favourite Tom Hardy performance.
Operator, how may I connect your call?
I need to speak to a police officer.
Putting you through one moment.
Thank you.
Police dispatch, what is your emergency?
Well, I think I may have been kidnapped.
Where are you, sir?
I don't know.
Tom Hardy is a brilliant actor, and I love a lot of his films, but I absolutely could not stand him in this. Did you think Daniel Craig's accent in Knives Out was annoying at first, but as the film progressed you got used to it and it didn't matter anymore? Not the case for Tom Hardy's portrayal of Al Capone. His frankly appalling accent adds nothing to his performance, if you could even call it a performance. He's so outrageously bad that I couldn't bear to watch him any longer than I had to. At least with Venom, I could watch him. Characters that proved to mean something to Capone in the most violent flashback scenes meant nothing to the audience, as none of the characters were established at all well. This film would have been much better off if it was structured like The Wolf of Wall Street or The Irishman, detailing all of his life in a much longer film. A 3-hour biopic of his whole life, not just his final year, would have been a lot better.
It don't matter to me. You understand? You understand?
Whatever you say, Jimmy, yeah?
Catch you later, Fonz.
Hey, boss. Let's go.
One particularly shocking scene took place at the start of the third act, and even though this was the best scene of the movie, it just proved that the tone of the film had no idea what it wanted to be. This scene was the only one that worked for me because it was purely made up of shock. However, the rest of the film wasn't anything like this scene. It got to the point where it felt as if each scene adopted a different tone, adding to the messiness of the movie. Inspiration in the filmmaking process clearly draws from the tactics used in The King of Comedy and Joker, as the constant flashbacks/visions jump back into reality, and it becomes extremely confusing as to understanding what the main plotline is. Again, this lack of context or character build-up comes into play. It's extremely awful with no excitement to it, just a weak plotline with violent sequences of Capone's past scattered throughout. Along with Tom Hardy, the rest of the cast was purely dreadful. It's just a feral film. It progresses at such a slow pace that at times it can become unwatchable for many people, its only interesting scenes being the violent ones, but even they lacked any heart or emotion to them.
Fuck, jump right up in the
That was
fucking
mine.
boat.
That was mine.
Hey, Fonz, where you going? Hey,
That
where you
was
going?
my fish.
Where you going? Fonz. Whoa. Fonz. Hey, Fonz. What are you
Was
doing?
it worth
Fonz.
it? Fucking bomb!
What the fuck are you doing, huh?
The only credit I'll give to this movie is the approach director Josh Trank aimed for with this movie, as it felt different to any other crime genre film. He definitely missed his mark by a long shot, but it's clear what he wanted to achieve. Most of the film proved to be unnecessary, and Tom Hardy does not help at all. Usually in bad movies, the A-list actor can save it by a little, but it pains me to say that Capone was worse because of the way Hardy approached the role. Mainly because the script is so weak and poorly written, Hardy couldn't do much with what he had. To avoid spoilers, I don't want to go into detail here, but there was a particular scene which just wasn't necessary to the evolution of the plot. It was just disgusting and ridiculous. The final 15 minutes or so seemed to be the only exciting part, as it proved that Tom Hardy was portraying Al Capone, a ruthless, out-of-his-mind murderer. However, after about a 2-minute rampage of excitement, it goes back to the film's boring nature again when it could have kept the ounce of intensity it held. The only credit that I can actually give to this movie that isn't conceptual is the makeup's excellent job at altering Hardy's appearance. If not for the makeup, my final score might have dropped even lower, which is saddening.
De Porcel, Mr. Fonso.
Right. You lay one finger on my Lady Atlas, I will cut your fucking head off. Do you understand me?
Capone wasn't good by any stretch of the imagination, being one of the poorest additions to the crime genre. By going in with low expectations, I can't say I was disappointed, but I didn't expect to dislike it this much. With Hardy's brilliant performance in Legend 5 years ago, I was expecting him to be the saving grace of Capone, but he unfortunately ruined the film along with a terrible cast, a messy plot, and a weak script, making this one of the worst films I have ever seen. Unfortunately, I couldn't stand Capone by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm giving this movie a 2 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Have you seen Capone? Let me know below. If you like what you're seeing here and you want to see even more, check out my channel and be sure to have a look at my previous reviews of Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, and Scoob. As always, be sure to follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This has been Kia's Reviews, signing off for now.